everyone, today we're going to be doing a first impressions try on of the new Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. I know this is everywhere right now, but a few people have asked for my opinions on it, so I thought I would go ahead and film a try on video of it. I've had it for a few weeks now, but I haven't managed to put it on my face because I wanted to save myself for this video. I've been a longtime fan of Urban Decay's Naked palettes over the years. I was gifted the very first one and it was my first palette ever, so I have fond memories for that one. Naked 2 I wasn't that keen on, and I did end up actually trading it more recently because I just wasn't using it. Naked 3 was fine, but very pink, which is not necessarily my aesthetic. And then Naked Smoky just didn't really appeal to me. But when the Naked Heat came out, I was really intrigued. The color selection in here is really warm toned, which can be polarizing for some people because not everyone's gonna want something that warm. There are no cool tone shadows in this. Yeah, there's not a single one that's a cool tone shadow, so you have to like warm tones or at least want to try warm tones if you're going to be buying this palette. Fun fact though, when they were first creating this palette, they couldn't decide between heat or scorched. Somebody told me about that on Reddit. But interestingly enough, so they chose Naked Heat, but on my packing slip from urbandecay.ca, it says Naked Scorched on it. So kind of interesting. I don't know when they decided on the final name, but some of their barcode stuff still aligns with the old Scorched name. All right, I'm gonna zoom you right in and let's get started on the eyes. All right, my eye primers are on, so I'm going straight in with the shadow, and I'm taking the Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush and the shade Sauce, and I'm putting that directly through my crease as my transition shade. I have watched a few videos of people trying this out, and the first thing that everybody seems to notice is how much it's more powdery than other Urban Decay palettes have been over the years. Now, I feel like powdery used to be such a negative word for eyeshadows, but I feel like the tide is finally changing on that. Powdery to me honestly just means do your eyeshadow first before you do your face, which is something I always do. But it also means that there's more pigment in there, and I don't really know how that works, but I always feel if something is more powdery, there's gonna be more pigment on your eyes. So that's just a personal opinion for me, but I have noticed people become less offended about powdery eyeshadows over the years. And it's true, every time I dip in the palette, I'm getting kick up, but that's fine. Because this is going on quite pigmented, and it's really easy to blend. But that being said, I've never had a problem with Urban Decay shadows before. So this is par for the course for me. All right, with a MAC 217, I'm gonna dip into He Devil, which is a really beautiful burnt orange, and I'm gonna add that in my crease as well, but a little bit tighter, so I don't want it to go as high as the previous color. Oh yes, this is the kind of shade that I'm always in love with. And there's a, there's a lot of pigment, so I probably should have tapped off my brush. Okay, it's traveling a bit higher. I'm just gonna blend it out with the previous brush. There's a lot of pigment in something, it can really spread as you apply it, so He Devil, definitely apply less when you're starting out. With a MAC 239 brush, I'm going into Scorched and placing that all over the lid. And then back with my MAC 217, I'm dipping into En Fuego and putting that on the outer corner. I'm not sure if, okay, it's deep enough that it does deepen up that area, but I'm gonna want something a little bit darker to add some smoke. Okay, you could really just leave it right there, but I always like a really dark outer corner, so I'm going into Ashes in the same brush and putting that right on the outer corner. I'm really just stamping it right in this area. I don't want to make it travel too far out. All right, I love how this is coming together. This is my perfect kind of eyeshadow look, but I need some brightness on the inner corner. So I'm gonna use a Makeup Forever 220 brush, and I'm gonna go into Lumber, I think that's how it's said, and put that on the inner corner to brighten everything up. And I'm just gonna drag that into the lid shade. Okay, so I want to complete the lower lash line, but I want to use as many shades as possible from this palette. So I'm going to go into Dirty Talk on a pencil brush. This is a MAC 219, I believe. It's been worn off ages ago. I'm just going to put that on the inside half. This one has slightly more pink tones in it. Actually, more pink tones, but it's coming across very red, which I like. And just to finish up the lower lash line, I'm going to go into Ashes, same pencil brush, and just put that on the outside corner. And basically connect it to the top area of my lid. To finish everything off, I'm going to take my MAC 275 brush, and I've dipped it into Ounce, and I'm going to put that on my brow bone. Okay, eyes are done at this point. There is some fallout. That's not unexpected with eyeshadow for me. So I'm just gonna sweep that away with some Bioderma. I'm gonna go do the rest of my face and I'll come back and we'll chat about the palette. All right, makeup's all done at this point. So let's talk about the Urban Decay Naked Heat. Now, this is obviously a very warm toned palette. It is absolutely beautiful, but if you're somebody who's not too sure about warm tones, this might not be the palette to try them out with. You can't really dip your toes into warm shades with this palette. You basically have to go all in because there is not a single shadow in here that is cool tone. The closest you might possibly get is Ashes, but it's still very, very warm. This palette is for people who love warm tones. Now, that being said, if you are somebody who doesn't have a lot of warm tone shadows and you want to start your collection with one, you can't go wrong with this. You have all the colors you possibly need to create a beautiful warm tone look. Now, I have heard a lot of people saying that there is a lot of kick up and fallout with this palette. Yes, I agree. That is a thing when you're sticking your brush in here, but I don't feel like it's detrimental to the eyeshadows at all. I was seriously impressed with how easy it was to blend these shades and to get a cohesive look. Now, that's pretty easy to do because they are all the same warm shade. It's a very monochromatic palette, which is good and bad for some people. I like this because I'm gonna get something that's gonna look relatively like this every single time I go into this palette. I'm okay with that. Now, some people are gonna look at this and say that there's not enough variety. I get it, I kind of agree as well. I still like it, but I get where you're coming from. A lot of these lid shades, particularly Lumber, Dirty Talk, and Scorched, are stunning, don't get me wrong, but I think if you interchange them on the lid, they're not gonna make that much of a difference in your eye look. Aside from all of the beautiful shades in here, which I find myself very fond of, one of the hugest selling points about this palette is that there are so many matte shadows. For a long time, the Urban Decay Naked palettes didn't have enough of them, and I think there was really only like 2 shades per palette. They've learned their lessons over the years, and about half of these shades are matte. There might be one that's a bit of a satin, so you're getting at least 5 matte shades in here. One final point I need to mention, and I think Haley actually said this in her review as well, this shade here, Ashes, is the darkest shade in this palette. And I don't actually feel like it's deep enough. It is a very dark brown, but while it does build up, I don't feel like it's enough darkness for the eye. I kind of wish it was just a few shades darker. For me, that would have really helped flesh out this palette, but I mean, like, I'm nitpicking at this point. I do really like every single shadow in here that I've tried. I didn't get to maybe 3 of them. I think I got the bulk of these on my eyes and I was really pleased with them. All right, so to summarize all of that, the Urban Decay Naked Heat is a hit for me. It is a very monochromatic palette, but I like that and I'm really happy with it. I think the shadows blended out very easily, very nicely, and they were incredibly pigmented. There was a bit of kick up, doesn't bother me, but I think it adds to the pigmentation of the eyeshadows. So, review out of the side, time to actually give one of these away to one of you guys. I have an extra Urban Decay Naked Heat palette, and I want to give it to one of you. So I'm gonna have all of the details in the description bar down below. You will have to go to my website. It'll be a specific page to enter this giveaway. It will be open internationally. So good luck to all those who enter. Thank you so much for watching this review, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.